it is now time for the Drive Star Review, where we rate all the drivers from, well, however they do. They're 5-star. We give them a 5-star Drive Star review. And this is for the Jeddah Grand Prix 2023, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It was a good one. It was great. If you are coming into just this part of the episode, there is a full podcast. We have already spoken for 20 minutes or whatever. So if you want to hear more from me, go check out the full podcast in my other YouTube video or on Spotify. But this is the Drive Star review. I hope you enjoy. Let us start with the order that I've kind of just predetermined. We start with the Red Bulls. I'm going with Max Verstappen. I think he did a phenomenal drive. I'm giving him 5 stars because he just did well. He did great. He came all the way from the back, or not the back, 15th, which is basically the back, and he made it all the way up there and ended up in 2nd place. It was a great drive from him. Again, he qualified 15th. That was not his fault. If it was his fault, I would have lowered that score a lot, but it wasn't his fault that he wasn't doing well there. His car just cut out, and that's on the team, not on him. Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen's teammate, I'm going to give him 5 stars as well. He qualified well. He qualified on pole, which was great. I think Max would have probably qualified on pole too if he didn't go out in Q2, but alas. Sergio qualified on pole. He kept it. I know he lost the position to Alonso there at the start. A lot of people were making jokes saying oh, Perez could just take a chill. He looked in his rearview mirrors. He saw Alonso out of spots and thought, okay, I can just hang out behind Alonso and be fine. No, that's obviously not the case because he would have wanted to build a nice big gap on Max Verstappen. And then once Max Verstappen did kind of catch up to the front, he ended up in 2nd, and they were neck on neck on pace. So the fact that Perez was able to keep pace with Max Verstappen, who was there on his he was doing well. I gave Max a 5. I'm going to give Sergio Perez a 5-star as well, simply because that was the case. I think if Perez started 15th, he would have also ended up 2nd in this race. So I think he did a great job holding off Max, who, clawed all the way up there. I think Max's gap would have been a lot higher if he started first, but alas, it is what it is. It's good to see that Max can actually race in, if he doesn't start first, he can still race, which is cool. Then on to the Ferraris. I love how the Ferraris are next on the list here. Charles Leclerc. I'm going to give him a 4. To climb up from, P12 to P7, he put the car where it needed to be. It wasn't his fault the strategy didn't work out in his favor. It wasn't his fault his car broke down in Bahrain, which meant he had to start back. He qualified on P2, which would have probably been P3 if Max was not out in Q2. I think it was a phenomenal performance. It's actually close to a 5 for me, but I'm giving him a 4. Hang on a second. I've changed my mind. I'm going to give him a 5. I'm giving Charles Leclerc a 5 for that race because of the way he qualified. So, sorry, my poor editor who has to change that. It's a 5. And now for Carlos Sainz. This is why I'm giving Charles Leclerc a 5, because I'm giving Carlos a 4. I think he qualified well, or relatively well. He did good. He put the car where it needed to be. He didn't really make any mistakes. It's just he took the car and put it there. I know he came ahead of Leclerc, but now thinking of it all, Leclerc got right up to the back of Sainz. Whether it was Charles in front of Sainz or Sainz in front of Charles, it doesn't matter. I am kind of happy for Sainz because, Sainz is leading the Drivers' Championship in Ferrari, which is quite cool to see. Not the Drivers' in the team Ferrari, he is ahead of Charles Leclerc now, obviously because of Charles' penalties. I don't like to see Sainz getting hung out to dry. I want to see him thrive in Ferrari. And towards the end of the season, we'll probably start, forgetting that all this stuff happened. And we'll be like, oh, look, Sainz is actually beating Charles. Even when Charles didn't DNF, Sainz was ahead, and we'll look at it that way. But we won't think about how qualifying happened and all that stuff. On to the Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton. I'm giving him a 4. Mainly because he just wasn't on par with his teammates. So I've been quite generous this Drive Star review. But Lewis Hamilton had a good drive, finished 5th, beat the Ferraris. He didn't qualify as well as George, but he managed to make up for it in the race. He was up there. It was a good job from him. Then George Russell, I'm giving him a 5. He did a good race. He put the Mercedes where we didn't expect the Mercedes to be. He qualified well. He just was consistently good. I think he put it all out. He gave everything that the car could give. And he still ended up 4th, but that was a good result from him. Almost a podium. Whether or not he got that podium based off Alonso's penalty doesn't change the fact that I'm giving him a 5-star. Fernando Alonso. It's not a 5-star. It's a 4-star because of that mistake at the grid slot where he parked. It's just a rookie error for a very, very, very experienced driver. Other than that, he did a great race, qualified well, good race pace. I'm proud of him. I'm very excited to see him do well. I'm so glad he got that podium. Again, whether he got the podium or not, in the end, it would have still been a 4-star because I think all the other penalties were, not really on him. But he outqualified his teammates, so I can't really knock him too far down to like a 3 or anything. Talking about his teammate, Lance Stroll. Stroll, I'm giving him a 4. He qualified well, and he did a really good start of the race. So obviously he had to do some overtaking, and he did some really good overtakes. He did like a really the overtake around sides on the outside of that one like long medium speed corner. It was so good. It was just so good to see. It's like he just slingshotted around signs. I thought it was such a good job from him. And it's so unfortunate to see because I think we would have had a good battle with Stroll and Russell. Like Stroll would have been fighting Russell and Lewis Hamilton. And I think it would have been quite cool to see that battle go on. And we would have probably given him a lot more credit because he would have probably helped Alonso recover from that penalty. And I'm pretty sure when Alonso's penalty happened, like Stroll would have been thinking like, "Oh, I could get a podium today." So yeah, alas, didn't happen. Very unfortunate for Stroll. As I said earlier in the podcast, I think I'm becoming a Stroll fan. I don't know what Alonso's doing to me. I'm like feeling quite confused. I feel like I've come out or something. It's just a very strange feeling. Moving on to Alpine, Esteban Ocon. I'm giving him a 4. Qualified well, did good on pace. He put the car where it needed to be. I mean, I almost want to give him a 5, but again, he didn't do anything super spectacular. He just did a solid job. It was good. It wasn't average. It was above average. He did well. He beat his teammate, outqualified his teammate, and outperformed his teammate. I think he did the best with what he was given, which was cool. Gasly, his teammate, Pierre Gasly, giving him a 3-star, mainly because he took out our man Oscar. The Australians are going to have a war with the French. It's going to happen. They're probably not very happy. I think that collision, that sort of incident at the first lap with Oscar Piastri, I think that was more Gasly's fault than it was Piastri's. And that's just my personal opinion. I think a lot of people see it as a 50-50 racing incident. I see that more of Gasly's fault, and I'm a bit bleak with that. And in general, he didn't beat his teammates, and I gave his teammate a 4. So I'm giving him a 3. He didn't qualify as well. He still did fine. It's just that racing incident, it made me really have a sour taste in his mouth. In my mouth, not his mouth. That would have been weird. Now onto the McLarens. I don't know why they're so high up this list. I should probably move them down. But Lando Norris, I'm giving him a 3. Mainly because of the way he qualified. He hit that wall there in Q1. And that kind of ruined his time. It put him in 19th, which was obviously pointless. It was in 19th or 20th. I can't even remember. Either way, he was at the back. And that ruined his whole race. Because that McLaren, as you can see with Oscar, was able to qualify into Q3. Which, unfortunately, Lando messed that up. It's actually almost a 2 for that. But I'm going to give him a 3 because he didn't do anything else wrong. It was just a really bad qualifying that ruined his race. Oscar Piastri, this was a tough one. I want to give him a 4, mainly because of the way he qualified. Again, we don't know how Lando would have done, but Oscar making it up into Q3 is a phenomenal job. He got very unlucky in the race. I don't think the accident was his fault. And then in the end, that move on... Was it a move on Sargent? I think it was a move on Sargent. Just that little racing there between the rookies at the end. He pegged Sargent on the last lap. I know that they instructed Lando to essentially let Oscar through to fight. I think Lando would have made it past as well, but they decided to let Oscar through. And Oscar, this is the other thing that Oscar did. He did a very good tire management session because he pitted at the end of lap 1 and he didn't pit again. He just kept going. He was like, cool, I'm going to go on these hards. I'm going to make them last. I'm going to try, a tire management game. And he did. He did it very well. So very good job from Oscar. It's a 4-star for Oscar Piastri. Then moving on to the Alfa Romeos. Valtteri Bottas. It's a 3. The main reason it's a 3 is because of how he did versus his teammate. He didn't outqualify Zhou. The reason he was so far back was because he took damage on the first lap. I'm not really going to blame him for that. You can't really do anything about that. But so the main reason I'm giving him a 3 is just he got dealt a bad hand, so that's not his fault, but he did not outqualify Zhou Guanyu, which is why I'm giving Zhou Guanyu a 4. I don't think he was going to get points. Like, it looked like it for a while, but he just fell back after a while. I thought he might get up there, but yeah, I don't know what happened. I think the Alfa Romeo just isn't looking very strong, unfortunately. Maybe they'll look strong later, but right now they're not looking great. But I'm giving him a 4 for outqualifying Bottas and not really having any other flaws throughout the race. Let's talk about our Haas boys now, the suck my balls guys. Kevin Magnussen, it's a 4. He got points in a Haas. Could be a 5, but I'm giving him a 4, mainly because the reason I'm giving him a 4 is because I think Nico Hülkenberg ended up outqualifying him. I think that's the case, right? Maybe not. I don't know. There's a reason I didn't give him a 5. And yeah, but he qualified decently. He performed well. Again, he wasn't going to catch the Gasly in them, but like, you know, he did a good race to manage and take Yuki Tsunoda in the end, which was really cool in my opinion. So giving him a 4. Nico Hülkenberg, similar to K-Mag, but I'm going to give him a 3 for that mistake he did where he clipped the wall. He was looking at his mirrors that one time, I think defending against Zhou Guanyu. Or it might have been defending against Logan Sargent, but he nicked the wall and it was just game over for him there. Well, not really game over. He was fine. He could have probably still fought on, but that was almost a disaster. It was very close to being a complete disaster where it would have probably knocked it down to like a 2. But I'm giving him a 3 for that performance, unfortunately, for Nico Hülkenberg. Yuki Tsunoda, I'm going to give him a 4, just based on where he is versus his teammate. I think he's putting the AlphaTauri in a place where it shouldn't be. I think if he got that 10th point, I would have probably given him a 5. I think he's doing really well. It's surprising. Like, he's actually stepping up his game. So he must be feeling quite confident. He's sad with himself, but the team sound very happy with where he ended up. So it's quite encouraging for them, I guess, to know that AlphaTauri could score points. That's the thing. It's just such a big fight for that 10th position, you know? It's between Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and Williams, and McLaren, really. Like, there's so many people fighting for like 10th position that you can treat P10 as a win for some of the teams. Like if they get a point, it's huge for them. So that's why also stuff like getting that fastest lap off of the 10th place person, if the 10th place person does get a fastest lap, is big. It's big for the team. So if they do some team games there to stop 10th place from getting 2 points, if 10th place does have fastest lap, there's things to happen there, which is cool. Okay, where was I? I said Yuki Tsunoda is getting a 4. Nick de Vries, it's a 3. It's close to a 2, to be honest. He's not qualifying as well as his teammate. He didn't do anything wrong, so that's why I'm giving him a 3, but he's really not got the pace. I actually expected a lot more of him. Again, I think Yuki's just doing really well, which is why I don't want to give him a 2. I want to give Nick de Vries a 3 for that. Alex Albon. He got a 5 in Bahrain, but he's getting a 3 this time, mainly because Logan Sargent just had more pace on him. I know Logan Sargent made a mistake. We'll talk about that. But Logan Sargent's pace in the Williams was just so much better. Like, a lot better than Alex's. Logan put out a lot more risks, but, you know, it doesn't help being consistently at the back. So, it's going to be a 3. I know, you know, he got unlucky with the brake stuff and had to retire. But I'm also just basing off how he qualified versus his teammate, which is Logan Sargent. So, Alex is getting a 3. Logan Sargent, I'm giving a 4. I think he took a healthy amount of risk. He put his car in a position where, yeah, he put his car somewhere where he could get the Q1 session. If his time didn't get invalidated, he ended up putting his car like up in like P7 or 8 or something. So very proud of Logan Sargent. And then obviously he was under quite a lot of pressure and made a mistake in his second run to try and gain back that lap that he messed up. And yeah, just he had an unlucky bad qualifying. I think he did push the car more than he needed to. So definitely not a 5, but it was between a 3 and a 4. And I wanted to give him a higher score than Alex because he did outperform Alex this week, which is a great job considering this is only his second ever F1 race. When Alex has got many years experience in F1 now, it's kind of weird to think that Alex is like no longer a rookie. Like Alex has been around. You know, he had a year off after being around, but, you know, he was in the AlphaTauri, then he moved over to Red Bull, then he got kicked out, and he had a good year and a half in Red Bull, so he's got experience all around and being a development driver for Red Bull. So just based off of that context, she's very stormy outside. If you can hear wind, there's a storm outside. But yeah, bearing that context in mind, I think Sargent did a great job and I'm giving him a 4. That is it for the Drive Star review. And also, if you're listening to the podcast as a whole, that is also it for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to the next race. I don't know what we'll talk about next. I'm sure we'll talk again before the next race, but have a good one, guys. Looking forward to the Australian Grand Prix. It's going to be great.